Hey guys, Gon here, back with yet another Hunter x Hunter video. And originally this was supposed to be a volume 1 review of Hunter x Hunter, but I just couldn't do it. I couldn't just gloss over the first chapter and encapsulate it with the first 8. The first chapter is too good. I just needed its own individual review for it. In fact, it might be so good that it's the greatest first chapter in manga history. Yoshihiro Togashi really is a master of gripping you in. For me, when I look back on the two greatest first chapters in manga, they are Yu Yu Hakusho and Hunter x Hunter. Yu Yu Hakusho made me emotionally invested and cry like a baby, and Hunter x Hunter got me gripped on the plots, on the themes, and on the overall sense of adventure that first page grabs you with and never lets go. And something that I find very interesting, just when looking at Togashi's thoughts when he released to us the first volume, he said that he is entirely indebted to us and he was going to work hard to crank out dozens of volumes, which shows that even at the start of Hunter x Hunter, Togashi had a very large and very clear vision of where he wanted the story to go, and that's exactly what you get from this first chapter. To put it in Broadman's terms, it feels very concise. So far, there's been 3 different anime adaptations of this first chapter, coming from the 1998 OVA, from the 1999 anime, and from the 2011 anime. And really, for the most part, none of them got it right. First of all, none of them were actually one-to-one adaptations, and the changes they made felt all like they took away from the feeling and from the sense of adventure of the story, the worst of which being the 2011 version, which takes away the best part of this chapter, being the introduction of Kite. Now, something I find very interesting is that Kite is the first character introduced. We get these gorgeous backdrops and this real sense of flowing momentum as we see the most extreme extravagance and the most enduring parts of the Hunter x Hunter world as a whole. This chapter starts off with the world building to show us why this world is one of intrigue, and then the first character ever shown is Kite, even before Gon, which later on shows us just how important Kite has always been to the structure of this world. He is a hunter. He is our hunter. He is the introduction to us of the Hunter x Hunter universe and the role of the Hunter Association. And it's just so beautiful, the sense of momentum, how everything's flowing, the artwork. It really feels like everything's happening one after another. And it's got a very, very charming look and art style to it. We see that Gon's, of course, fishing. He's managed to get, the Emperor of the Sea. And, all the villagers are so proud of him. And he's got this moment where he confronts Aunt Mito. And you see the ambiguity of the nuance, right? We know there's something greater at play from Aunt Mito's facial expressions. But in the denial and bliss of Gon, it feels very interesting, right? The first 4 pages really encapsulate this vibe that there is something beyond the surface towards this manga. It's that very theme that drives the story. And then later on, we see that Gon, has run off into the forest, like we've been seeing through just the manner of which he does it. It's quite the habit he does. And he goes and meets up with his friend Kon, this big wild fox bear. Us Aunt Mito and her mum are talking about Gon and his resemblance to Jing. Talking about how, whilst he hasn't actually been told about them, he does carry Jing's spirit in his essence. And that this transition that Gon's had in his life towards having the goal of become a hunter was in some way, shape or form inevitable. It was just destiny. And there was quite a few things I really liked about it. It's just the sort of the style, right, that has within this first chapter. There's a certain feel to the world. It's almost like a 90s retro vibe, which I really like. I'll show you the example I mean. I just really love, as you can see, with Gon's cap. And then later on, with the outpost for, of course, information. It's just something that feels very, very nostalgic in a way, right? It feels like an homage towards the mangas in that time, and that's something that's been lost through the animes that have come later on. And I really do love it. Just this really just drastic change in art style. Of course, you've got the light-hearted, almost anime-esque look of Atmito with the almost portraits, Mona Lisa-esque Jing. And there's something about those contrasts which get encapsulated in this moment. This beautiful panel of Gon being overcome by the fox bear and seeing the page just turn black as we get the background of Gon and Kites. And here we've got some absolutely stunning panels, like absolutely incredible stuff. And what I really liked here is that Kite really was acting within his own personality, more so than any of the adaptations we've seen of him. Kite is his own person. We see even when, Gon's, thanking him, he's like, "Thank you, sir," and he's thinking, "Sir?" Like, oh no, I'm not that old yet, like, calm down, Gon. And then he sees the gleam in Gon's eye and he goes, hold on, is your father's name Jing? And what I love about this is it just gets straight to business, and the form of exposition is so masterfully done. I often compliment Togashi on his exposition. I'm sure if you've seen, my chapter reviews, you've definitely seen me talk about how masterfully Togashi uses exposition. And here it's all the more natural because Gon is trying to figure out who Jing was, and Kite's trying to figure out who Jing is. So it's completely natural for the two of them to exchange information, for Aunt Mito to talk to her mother. Later on at the end of the chapter, for the people in the boats, or they're thinking that Gon's this young, naive kid, and they're trying to almost bluff him out of going and becoming a competitor to them. Everything feels so fluid and just so perfect. It really is. I love the pacing of it, where we get these small moments where we see glimpses into who Gon will become. When Gon talks to Khan, and he's just like, "Khan, I'm going to become a hunter. There's going to be a lot of things I do which are messed up, and you as the king of the forest, you might be looked at unfavorably because of me." It shows us just how self-aware Gon is. That's sort of the fear that you get. You get this slight anxiety about Gon, that there's something not right about him. His sense of denial when, of course, he confronts later on Aunt Mito and he says, being a hunter is important, it's more important to Jing than his own family, so, I need to see what this is about. In contrast with his overall intelligence and his overall awareness, shows us immediately that Gon is lying to himself. And it's this lie that he has within himself and he holds himself to, which carries with him throughout the different arcs of Hunter x Hunter until the big moments we all know about with Neferpito. And I absolutely love it. I love the execution. I love the charm. And I like just the emotions, right? Where you see Aunt Mito's guilt and she's saying to Gon, what I said wasn't true. Jing's alive and I forced him to keep you. And you see Gon's just face of just bliss, this face of, it's almost the face of, he's emotionally detaching himself, and he says, "Yeah, I know, Aunt Mito, you never look at me in the eyes when you lie." And there's something so cold, so sad about it. And that's the thing I love, is that you get this sense of warmness and cold at the same time. And the way that the movement maneuvered by Togashi is so masterful, because on one hand, you feel like this is this grand adventure you're starting. And on the other hand, you feel like it's almost a psychoanalysis on the character of Gon. And you almost feel like this hunter exam is going to become something that brings those aspects out of him that we can't yet see. And the artwork here is beautiful. And as you heard me from the beginning, this volume has 8 chapters, unlike the other volumes which have 10 chapters. And that's because the volume 1 is quite lengthy, as are the other volumes here. And I really like the contrast, because it would show us how Hunter x Hunter would look like if it was in a monthly format, so to say. And I just love how much, there's so much packed within. We've got Gon catching the fish, right? That's the first element of the story arc. Then afterwards, we've got Aunt Mito and her mum discussing Gon. We've got Gon trying to, convince Aunt Mito to keep her word. We've got Gon with Con. We've got the backstory with Kite. Then we've got Gon's farewell. And then we've got Gon going on the ship and everyone kind of giving him some exposition about what lies ahead. And it ends within this one beautiful panel. This one just very, very insightful look into who Gon is, right? Here we see that his eyes and the front of his face are very well defined. And then the further apart you go to his hair and to his clothes, it starts to fade away. And I really like what that stands for, because it shows us that Gon, he's got this simple-minded objective. And beyond that, everything else unravels. There's a certain insanity and delusion behind himself that means that no matter what happens, those flaws within his character and within his mission were always going to appear. And aside from that, there's a few other things I really liked about this chapter. Well, I say really like, this is the best chapter in manga history. As much as I've got an emotional bias towards Yu Yu Hakusho chapter 1, I've never cried as much as in that chapter. This truly is the best, because the feelings you get, right, in the end, the first chapter. What is a first chapter? It's a hook. You need to have the art of hooking someone in, and there's absolutely no way anyone can read this first chapter and then not go on to read the chapter after. It's too brilliant, and you see these moments where it brings everything full circle. We see with Jing, with Kite, with Aunt Mito, and then with Gon. And it feels like its own completion of the little arc we've been through. And here we see the sort of face Aunt Mito makes. This slight moment of realization. She knows that this isn't gonna come how Gon thinks it will. She knows things about the hunter exam, being a hunter, and about Jing that Gon isn't aware of. And through her facial expressions, which I love, right? Lots of people complain about the Chimera Ant arc, saying, not enough show don't tell. That's an expression that people love to throw around. And whilst I think that it's not really a great criticism of the Chimera Ant arc, and I made a video about that, about why the narrator is so great, if you want to check that out. But what I love about this implicit use of show don't tell is that not only does it give us a sense of emotions, but it also adds a sense of interpretation, right? When we look at Aunt Mito's face, it's left intentionally slightly vague, yet going towards the sort of sad, almost, nostalgic sense of she's first of all missing her child, and she also knows that he's going into waters which will potentially drown him. But it's left for us to interpret. And a lot of this is left for us to interpret. Togashi doesn't give us all the answers. We even got the time skip. In fact, 2 time skips within this one chapter. We've got the time skip where, of course, we're going back in time, many years in the past, towards Kid Gon and Kite. But even within Gon's conversation with Kite, there is a time skip. We don't see what they talked about throughout the day. We start off at the beginning of the day with them and then end at the end. And what it does is that it helps us, the audience, have our own feelings and our own personalization of what this story is and what the events that took place were. It's something that we ourselves, throughout our experiences of childhood, throughout our experiences of this familiar feeling, we are able to implant ourselves within this story. Gon hasn't yet shown us the sort of strong personality traits that he shows us, for instance, in the fight with Hanzo, that makes us really see him as his own individual character. In a way, we are Gon, and for this first chapter, it works really well, because in the end, it's not Gon that needs to get hooked on Hunter x Hunter, it's us, the reader. And it does such a fantastic job, and that's what I think the anime adaptations miss, because 2011 wants to focus on the cast, right? It wanted to show us Gon, Kurapika, Leorio straight away, but really that's not the hook of Hunter x Hunter. It's the themes at play, it's the world. 1999 wanted to really flesh out even more the backstory with Kite and everything towards Gon's attachment to Whale Islands. And in the end, whilst that is a big emotional component, it sort of lacks this feeling of personalization and this feeling of, ambiguity. In 1998, it's great, it adapts probably the best of the three, but it feels rushed first of all, and also it just doesn't carry that art style, that feeling. It's a vibe when you see these things. Lots of it is aspects about a story which I can talk to you for hours about, but until you look at the page and you feel it yourself, it just doesn't come close. Words can't encapsulate how this panel of Gon looks, about the feelings that all the emotions coming from the page give you. And it's something that's lost and later on in Hunter x Hunter, but quite intentionally so. This is really a hook on your emotions more so than it is on your intellect. And Togashi does this with each of his mangas, and I find that it just becomes increasingly more and more effective. And part of the reason why I think that Togashi is the greatest mangaka there's ever been. So if I had to give the first chapter of Hunter x Hunter a review, this would probably be the first time I give anything a 10 out of 10, because honestly, it's perfect. I can't think of anything Togashi could have done better. I think that the pacing was perfect. I think that the characters were really engaging. I also like the sense of camaraderie during Whale Island, where it really does feel like a real place. We're seeing the sort of personalities of the villagers, kind of, they've become bros of Gon. And there's this theme that Gon is this person that brings people along with him, from Kite saying he's a great hunter, to the villagers saying, come on out, Mito, he's ready for the exam. And she's like, shut it. And they're like, oh, no, I didn't say anything. So I really do like it. It has a bit of everything. It feels like a perfect balanced formula. And in the end, when you're really trying to sell a series for the longevity of it, you need to cover each and every aspect of it so that someone can read this first chapter and say, okay, I get what Hunter x Hunter's about. And I think that this does that better than any other series, because we get everything there. This could almost be its own first arc encapsulated. It could almost be like Whale Island Arc 1 and then Hunter Exam, so much that it feels like it's its own unique entity that comes full circle. And it really does a really, really effective job of making us, the audience, feel like we can relate to Gon and feel like the world of Hunter x Hunter is one that we ourselves want to explore. And there's nothing that can really trump that. It does everything the way it should do, which is why it's a masterpiece and the greatest first chapter in manga. Perhaps one of the greatest chapters that have ever been laced to our worlds. So, this was Hadrigon. I hope you enjoyed this review of Chapter 1 of Hunter x Hunter. Of course, next Saturday, I'll do all the rest within Volume 1, and I'll briefly skim over Chapter 1, but really, this has been the review for it. But yeah, if you like everything Hunter x Hunter, I do Hunter x Hunter videos of all kinds. I probably have the largest, back catalogue of Hunter x Hunter videos on YouTube, so I've got playlists if you guys want to check out, from character analysis to just Hunter x Hunter video essays and everything in between. So yes, I hope you're having an incredible day. This was Hadrigon. Peace out.